ADHD. All right.
Now you're all standing around sundown, ready to diablerize him.
Me and the boys about to do the big suck. I need to find the big Capri Sun video for that too. What's like doing a group diablerie?
She's sitting here looking at sundown with her and just like this.
With my gamer shoe.
Friday night, where we could not be stopped by a horrible storm the width of Wisconsin. We're coming back this week anyway because we left y'all on that fantastic cliffhanger last week. Compliments of Charlotte's excellent production value. So I'm going to go ahead and just kick things off real quick. I am, of course, Magical Mr. Mephisto. This is Milwaukee by Night, Part 14, Prisonic Psalms and Fairytales Profane. So we're going to be jumping kind of right in here, but before we do that, let's go ahead and meet the Coterie real quick. Abby, how's it going? Who are you playing for us?
Well, howdy there. It's going pretty wonderfully, if I do say so myself. And tonight, I will be taking on the role of our lovely local Nosferatu Pixie. Earlier in the day, I was making out with Mothman, and now, hopefully, I'm going to be making out with Sundown's cordial artery.
Fantastic. So, I don't know, Charlotte, I don't know, how do we introduce you tonight? Because Elizabeth's on a bit of a sojourn. Are we gonna? Am I weird enough to be doing flashbacks? Am I crazy enough as an ST to split the party in the extremest way possible? Have part of the adventure set in Victoria, Canada, part of it back in Milwaukee. I don't know. Why don't you? You know, I'm gonna let you deal with the intro for yourself this evening. You're on your own. You're here.
I can't compete with that now. I got nothing.
Yeah, nothing?
Absolutely nothing.
Nothing. But you do have a Twitter that everyone should totally follow you at Foxfire22.
And how do you spell that?
Fyre?
Yes.
Nailed it. Speaking of fun misspellings and being in two places at once, how's it going, Scott?
I don't know. I'm just planning to do some nice mischief and mayhem and take advantage of not having our leader human
conscience.
Yeah.
Yeah, the high humanity conscience of the Coterie await.
Moral compass.
No paladin. Gotta go. Warlock's gonna play now.
Warlocks are fun. Like, seriously, play tested a Warlock for a fifth at no regrets. You're welcome. Everyone who enjoys the Warlock class, you're welcome. That was me. Speaking of the Warlock class, how's it going, Ty, Romancer? Putting the romance in Ty Romance.
If I were a Warlock, things would get interesting tonight. However, I am not. I am playing Sal, our resident Hecata, and Master of the Amazing Shadowfray Tree. And yes, that's Master, because it's mine now.
It's mine's now.
Until it's not.
I am not it. It is mine.
And last but not least, my oldest friend in the world. How's it going, Sam?
I'm doing all right. I'll be playing Cass. And if I ever put a point in drive, I'm also going to be taking a specialty in forklifts. So
we all know that's how you get all the honeys.
I know, between the fashion and being forklift certified.
How many creatures baying at a moon are on your shirt currently?
Oh gosh, we got 3 opossums howling at the moon. So I just know that I am going to be drowning in people's mothers tonight. I'm so excited.
and Sam's dead. But anyway, that's our reality by day. It's time for some Milwaukee by night. Like I said, this is part 14. The previous week has been a lot of politics. Actually, we had some Elysium. We had the Coterie throw their own party. They woke up Nails, which was kind of a big deal. If anyone's estimated Nails' age, they could pinpoint him to the Dark Ages from some of the hallucinations in the period pieces. If anyone's listened to any of our ambient banter, they might know even more about Nails, that it former ST NPC cameo requested by someone in the Coterie. But they've come on to he's come on to sort of make himself a little beholden to Pix of all folks. So that's been an interesting dynamic. But that sort of curveball hanging out there aside, the Coterie's had some machinations. I think they're starting to really sort of begin to play the scene of Milwaukee itself, which has its own sort of bizarre politics. And things were going so well at Club Anything, barring a tumultuous conversation between Pix and Elizabeth, the aforementioned humanity compass of the Coterie.
Moral compass.
Right. When Elizabeth had to, essentially was requested to return home, a flight was arranged for her to return to Canada through Prince Decker and J.W. Blue, his sort of main courier go-to sort of hand for dealings with the more, well, honestly, everything. J.W. Blue does everything for Decker. And does it quite proficiently and pridefully. So Blue helped Elizabeth return home. And like I said, we'll have to check in with Elizabeth here maybe later on, figure out what she's doing. In the meantime, it has been an evening. Salvatore sort of upon stirring the next evening, the sun sort of mirrored in Lake Michigan as it passes over the city of Milwaukee, and we see all the bustle of the streets sort of sped up, and eventually the sun crests to the other side, and Lake Michigan almost remains illuminated. That moment after the sun has set on the horizon, almost like it's sort of its own moonlight, absorbing the daylight sun and then reflecting back at the city. And you get this nice little reverberation between the dark waves of Lake Michigan and the city lights of all the, as I like to call them, the lonely windows, the couple windows left on in the skyscrapers late at night. In one of these buildings off the east side, one single lonely window comes on. Salvatore is handed their phone. Salvatore receives a plea for help, and we're going to sort of cut. We are disembodied over the city of Milwaukee as we hear two voices distorted by radio waves. And welcome back to the Nexus Control Center. I am, of course, your forever host, Laszlo. Wow, last night was a wild one in Milwaukee, wasn't it? Something about a terrorist attack? Maybe one of those, idiots radicalized by 4chan or something. Who knows? Took down an entire warehouse. Nobody was hurt in the process, but apparently a few crates went missing. Some sort of industrial supplies. They're not really certain. Really no one's saying. And I'm telling you, industrial supplies, my ass. Not everything, Nora comes in. Not everything is a conspiracy, Laszlo. That's only if you're not woke, man. Everything's a conspiracy if you know to look a layer deeper in this world. Yeah, you forgot to do the sign-in. Oh, yeah, right. Midnite Nation, it's NITE, because if you sue us, you're a coward. And we are joined by a very special guest tonight, a cryptid by his own right, Andrew WK. How's it going, Andrew? Oh man, I'm just happy to be here in the city of No, don't say where we are. Parts unknown. I'm happy to be here in parts unknown. And I hear you got assaulted last night. Yeah, actually it was pretty metal. I'm not gonna lie. I was going to one of my usual haunts, and I just love the city. There's so many great little places. They really just, hey, parts unknown. Well, yeah, parts unknown really knows how to party hard. And we sort of hear the radio become a little bit more distorted as sort of sparks from this sort of radio that we now have our focus on begin swaying, in some sort of like fluorescent dim light. It cracks and pops and falls to the ground. And we find the Coterie standing outside a apartment showing signs of chaos from the night before. And I'm going to go ahead and throw to Charlotte to describe the scene.
You find yourselves looking towards a 2-story townhouse with steps going up and then steps going down. The steps going down lead towards a door that you could see is partially opened. And from inside, you hear a crackling radio. You get closer to the door, you notice that it's been kicked in.
Oh shit, this doesn't look good. All too authentic to be staged, if you ask me.
This is I believe there was an address sent along with the message you received, Salvatore, and sort of Salvatore is standing at the point at the, sort of taking point at this door, and you see this kicked in thing and the apartment on the other side. This is the address.
Sal will open said door and kind of immediately just step in and look to corners and doors, identify any threats.
As you step in, you find yourself in the entranceway, and just beyond that is the kitchen. Looking down the hallway into the kitchen itself, you see appliances, smashed glass. The place is in complete disarray.
Pix is just gonna take a look around just for any sign of if there's an intruder still here, and if so, or if not, did they leave anything behind?
When you start peeking around, you don't see any signs or sense anybody else in the room itself.
Huh. I mean, I know she was loaded, but I didn't expect... She just never seemed the kind of person to be the victim of a break and enter.
For clarity, this would not be Elizabeth's apartment. You know she had a penthouse on the sort of Upper East Side. You're in the further east side of Milwaukee, where, quite frankly, my old haunt, but you'd be around Locust, around what's called, not Brewers Hill, it's...
River West?
River West. You're in the River West neighborhood. One of the more hipster areas of Milwaukee.
Gotcha.
Any signs of bloodshed or violence here other than the destruction, like, as we look about?
If you look around and start to look close enough, or even start to sniff the air, you would get a tang of blood filling your nostrils. Just slight, though. And then when you look closer, you see some blood splatter on the walls. There's a little bit on the floors. If you go down the hallway a little bit more towards where you expect the bedrooms to be, you find a bloody handprint before one of the doors.
Does it look big enough to be Elizabeth's, or someone else?
Sal would likely have explained that the message came from Elizabeth's friend. And I might have to name it. I think it was Sarah, right? The radio. Is it a DJ?
Sundays, noon to 2.
At the Buzz.
So,
So,
Cass, can
Sorry,
you
it's
use
Hen.
any of your special ability to tell us a little bit what happened here?
I think so. Let me look it up. Cass does have Spirit Touch.
What does Spirit Touch do for the party, or the audience?
I gotta find it real quick. I just got this.
Ooh, new tricks. That's what I like to hear. I suppose in general the rest of the coterie can, if they decide, roll a wits awareness.
Oh, I certainly will.
They're in they're sort of like they've moved into the main apartment area, and you said there was another door and they could see the blood trail going in, or the handprint on this other door on this interior room.
All right, here we go. By touching an inanimate object or the ground at a location, the vampire can sense the emotional residue left by those who have handled that object or visited that location in the past. These are Gain's insight into not only that person, but also what was done and under what circumstances. While rarely crystal clear, the information often provides leads impossible to gain from regular forensics or deduction.
Want me to take this one, Charlotte?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
All right. You sort of maybe put your hand on the handprint. Is there any role associated with this ability, by the way?
Yeah, I got to do a rouse check, which I make without getting hunger, and then it's intelligence plus auspex.
Nice.
And then versus a difficulty depending on the information sought.
Yeah, we'll just roll for some. Just roll, and we'll however many successes you get, I'll give you what I feel is an appropriate amount of information.
Okay. That is 3 successes.
The handprint is. You sort of like go to focus on the handprint, and your senses are overwhelmed and overtaken by the night before. You're actually down on the streets below, and you can see like one of the lights flickering, and you can hear the struggle up above. You know, whatever persona you've sort of stepped into is possessed by a malicious curiosity. A desire to know things for the power that knowing things brings. You also know that you are completely cloaked in the evening's security, so going up in there will be no big deal at all. And you've got a sense that this is exactly why you came to the neighborhood this evening after things didn't quite plan out, or things didn't quite go the way you had planned at a previous location. You take to one of the fire escape on the sort of opposite side, the entrance, head up to a window that's already cracked, and you can sort of see from your sort of first perspective. You reach forward, deftly go to slide it up with these sort of pallid gray hands with gnarled, unnatural claws as you go to lift it up, and you catch a glint in of the reflection of these milk white, lidless eyes staring back at yourself, and you can hear the screams of some woman coming from within. You see some scuffling, and you think for a moment, this is what you need to know. This is what you're here to find out before your vision goes black.
Sundown was here.
Sundown? Don't get me wrong, he never... I'm not defending the guy, but he never seemed like the, violent type. Just a little shit who liked to get his fingers into pies.
I'm not sure he did the violence, but he definitely knew it was happening. And he was definitely here. The rat knew there was cheese here.
I'm guessing whatever cheese he got has been slipped out the trap.
Almost on cue, is anyone going into that other room?
Yeah, Sal would go into the room where the
So,
blood kind of led to.
Yeah, Sal kind of opens the door and you can see a husk on the carpet. And I don't know if you want to take over from there. I can go into gory detail of the husk if you'd like, or if you want to.
I mean, let's put it to a vote, gory or no.
I mean, I'm all for it. Like, not in a weird way, it's just that it showcases the brutality of vampire.
Yeah, I'm for it.
The word that comes to mind is desiccated. You recognize the black leather jacket on the body on the ground. And it's emaciated to a supernatural degree. It's a wonder. Kindred of Sundown's potential age have a tendency to ash when they are killed. Sundown didn't have that opportunity and left behind these desiccated, completely dry, almost mummified remains and just the jacket. You see
Holy
a
shit.
room before you, and I can let you take over the room and what they see, Charlotte.
When you get into the room and get past the mummified remains on the floor, you notice that the room itself is a lot like what the kitchen was. Stuff that was on the dresser is no longer. The bedding has been torn. There's blood in quite a few places. Even some on the ceiling if you deign to look up. The room has been completely tossed.
Holy shit.
In your history, you may have seen abattoirs look nicer than this place.
Does it look like it was tossed as part of a struggle, or as if somebody's looking for something?
Pretty much utter chaos. If anything small that could have been knocked around or shifted during a struggle, it has been displaced. The only thing that has, for the most part, escaped much damage has been the furniture itself. The vanity mirror has a shatter in it up in the top right-hand corner. But for the most part, the heavier stuff is still in place.
What do you think, Sam? Is it part of, and Pix looks very uncomfortable as she just casts a glance over Sundown's desiccated corpse.
I don't know.
You probably notice a pile of ashes over by, this is a bedroom, right?
Yeah.
You would probably notice a pile of ashes sort of like partially on the bed and fall into the floor, near it. That's a little bit more what you would expect from a roughly, sort of humanoid-sized shaped vampire.
Well, it looks like it's your zombie after all, there, Sal.
You're not certain that Sundown's corpse will work. In fact, it's so emaciated and desiccated that you're certain that the next, strong disturbance and it will sort of deflate into ash.
So you can't throw it in the tub and have it rehydrate?
Probably not.
Sal will kind of pick up the jacket, shaking the remains out of it, and say, "At least I can have one wear his coat."
As you
Nope.
In one way or the other, huh?
sorry, what were you saying, Charlotte?
When you bend down to pick up the jacket, out of the corner of your eye, you notice that the shadows underneath the bed seem to move when there's been no movement.
Sal will kind of make that telltale "I've seen something" noise and kind of edge towards the edge of the bed and peer underneath if there's overhanging blanket or...
When you happen to peer underneath, you don't see anything but complete darkness, but you do hear movements.
Sal, what are you doing?
Something under the bed.
Great.
Are you scared of monsters, Sal?
Let's have a look.
Pix will actually move to the other side of the bed from where Sal is, just so we can corner whatever this thing is.
Sal will upend the bed kind of with his hands and his strength, just kind of so much for moving it gently or subtly.
Are you just lifting up slowly, or are you actually flipping tables, flipping bed?
Yeah, flipping the bed.
Is Pix aware that this is going to happen and get out of the way in time, or is she going to...
Storyteller, what do you think? Because I said I was going to do it. I think I should suffer a consequence for this action.
I could see you needing to make an athletics dexterity roll to get out the way of the bed.
Oh boy.
I mean, worst case
Against a brawl athletics from Sal. Or sorry, a strength brawl from Sal.
Well, that's 2 successes.
You're hungry tonight, aren't you?
A little. I may need to grab a juice box after this.
It's a bit of a push. So what I'm going to say happens, tie goes to player, and in this case, the players don't want to hurt each other per se. Pix barely escapes the onslaught of covers, down, and mattress, and gets hit, but manages to sort of slide along the wall and get free. What do they see beneath the bed that's been flipped?
The darkness that was there before dissipates, and you see this feminine body curled up in the fetal position. And when the shadows themselves dissipate, this figure tries to head towards the corner of the room to put some distance between Sal and herself.
Any recognition, or is it still cloaked in shadows somehow? We can't...
Shadows have dissipated, but you don't have any recognition. At this point, you can't see her face.
Yeah. What happened here? Who are you? Sal with all the social graces of a sledgehammer.
You don't hear her reply with words, but more of a snarly whisper of sorts. You can hear that they're tinged with fear more than anything else.
Sal will kneel down to at least appear somewhat less threatening.
I think this is at the point that you sort of assume your point of view here. Is that fucker with the shirts?
This is what's going through Sarah's mind right now. But coming to the realization that I'm not under any attack at this point, I start to calm down. Not as afraid. You don't see me pressing myself up against the wall as much. And a moment or two longer, you see as much stress drain out of her body as possible in a situation like this. She's still on heightened senses, but not to where she was before. And listening to Sal talk, she kind of comes back to herself, and you hear quietly, "Lurch?"
Sarah, I got your message. We were concerned. What happened here?
And she kind of leaves it like that for a few seconds, just kind of stopping her words, like not able to form complete sentences.
The night exists in sort of glimpses and still shots between the adrenaline of the altercation, the fog of the vampire's kiss, and the frenzy of the beast. You have snapshots, but maybe enough to try to communicate what you think happened.
I don't know, the last thing I clearly recall was walking home after a what was it? It was protest downtown. I remember walking down the streets and, as usual, being on alert for anybody following me. There's nobody there. Then it started to get dark. Like, weirdly dark.
Weirdly dark. Like someone threw a carpet over your eyes.
No, like somebody was turning the lights off one by one. Looking around, I saw like the street lights were kind of flickering, but when I was looking directly at them, they were still on. But when I would look away, it would get dark again, and with almost each passing step, it got darker and darker. Like first the street lights, and then the lights from the houses.
Pix is just going to give a very weighty look towards Sal.
But then I got home. And I was able to get my keys and open the door and went inside, locked the door, and made sure that the deadbolt and the slider locks were all in place.
But someone was waiting here for you.
I don't know. That's where it becomes a blur. Like, I opened the door, locked it, came inside. I seen light in here for a moment from the light on the stove and on the coffee maker. But then those two went out, and then I was in complete darkness. Looking around, I could see a tiny little bit of light coming from somewhere, but I don't know where it was. But then it felt like having a bag put over my head, almost like carpet covering my eyes. I couldn't see, like there was no sensation of sight anymore. And at this point, her voice starts to break up, and the way that she's recalling this becomes a little bit more disjointed and halting.
Hey, take a breath. We're not gonna hurt you. Just...
And she starts sobbing. And in between the sobs, you hear her say, I couldn't breathe. There's something over my mouth. There's something over my nose. I couldn't breathe. And she almost gets hysterical at this point. Well, not hysterical, but yeah, I guess it's probably the right word to use. Like, she's trying to get the words out, but stopping herself. She's trying to talk in between cries and sobs and choking on her own breath.
I think Pix would try to put a hand on her shoulder and take off her hoodie and just kind of lay it over her back, because she's probably about to go into a state of shock as she's describing this experience.
You recognize Pix as being the friend that Elizabeth had sort of insinuated was going to be taken to the Summerfest she won tickets from you with.
Upon, like, even having a glimpse of realization that that's who she is, she lets happen what's happening. What happens?
And Cass, is there any way we can find out what happened here? Who attacked her?
I mean, we could figure it out, but we gotta wait till there's a little less trauma going on.
Yeah, and I don't know about you lot, but I think it's fairly obvious, and again, I'll gesture over at where Sundown's body is.
I want everyone to roll dice equal to the amount of humanity they are missing. So if you're at 5, you'd have 5 dice. If you're at 7, you'd have 3, and so on and so forth.
Me too, or just them?
Spicy.
Just them.
And we're doing how many? Telling you how many successes?
Yep.
Successes?
No beast dice or no hunger dice involved in this.
I got 2.
That's 1 success.
2 successes if it's the 5 that I'm missing.
Okay. For those of you with 2 successes, you remember your embrace. Little bits of her story, of Sarah's story, resonates with you, and wherever you're, it's however long it's been for you, it's foggier and so on and so forth, but you get little snippets that it's not, maybe not so much a memory as a, when someone talks about like a wound that you shared where you can kind of almost feel it in, that sort of sympathy pain in your wound. A similar thing happens to each of you, just sort of on that like primal, that humane level. This phantom pain of your embrace, wherever it was. That with 2, it's pretty vivid, and especially if you're of a lower humanity, it strikes a chord with you. For those of you with just 1, you remember the event, but you're maybe a little bit more numb to the, like, it's too, you're blocking it a little stronger, if that makes sense. Like, there's that
it screams Thompson, but
that sympathy
I'm not
pain
connecting.
is there, but it's not like, again, it's not like it's not a resonant frequency. It's you've got the sympathy pain, and you have that sort of like moment of flashback, but you maybe choke it down a little bit more than the ones that had the 2, where they have this like almost pronounced, palpable feeling. everybody remembers their embrace in a different way, and it's going to be related to your own sort of personal horror, we'll say. But in this moment, it's like a chorus, different pitches and tones all coming together.
As it comes to Pix, she's not going to say it out loud, but her first immediate thought, whether it's almost in a mixture of both her voice and Thompson's, being, she shouldn't have fought. It would have been easier that way. I didn't fight, and look what happened to me.
Did you say that out loud? Do you say this?
I think she
Are
says
you going to
it
maybe
almost...
roll it? Okay, do you say it?
Because, like, Pix is thinking it, but, like, the influence... Let's do that roll you were talking
Yeah,
about.
let's roll a willpower against your blood bond strength.
Will do. That is no success.
Thompson's words come through Pix's mouth. And I'll allow you to go ahead and...
She shouldn't have fought. It
I
would
was
have been
having
easier
different
for her.
thoughts, and I was thinking, and Elizabeth thought I was going to hurt her. Suck it, Elizabeth. Ah!
Yeah, but Pix just says that, like, she shouldn't have fought. It would have been easier that way. I didn't fight, and look what happened to me. And it almost comes out in this raspy 1920s transatlantic accent.
Can you do
It sounds alien.
Can you maybe go for a transatlantic 1920s accent for us?
She shouldn't have fought, you see. Only brought her pain. Look, I fought, and, well, I didn't fight, and look what happened to me. Got off easy.
The Coterie, who's familiar with Pix, recognizes Pix's voice, but her cadence is off. And obviously Sarah's going to feel however Sarah feels.
By hearing that, Sarah now feels angry.
Easy, little bat.
I'm sorry, what?
Remember, she said she got off easy. She just
No, I...
blurted stuff out.
Pix is jet. She looks like she's woken out of a fugue state. Just... No, I... Should we get her somewhere safe? Because this is gonna... Prince, I mean, look. This doesn't look good for any of us involved right now.
Why?
Elizabeth and I
Do you make
had-
shadows? Does anyone here make shadows? Wait.
Well,
No?
Pix is just gonna cross her arms and raise an eyebrow as she looks at Sal. We know someone who makes shadows, don't we, Sal?
I don't necessarily know if that's something she would do.
Well, she's got motive, considering that Sundown knew about it. Or her, at least.
Salvatore, running back the events of last night, it would be a hell of a trip for her to get to here. Even if she's jumping through shadows along the way. And, like, just with the timeline of, like, the protest, I mean, you'd be roughly aware, because you've been looking into Pentax. Their protests were about Pentax and, some of the stuff they were doing. They have some questionable business practices involving like women. Like, it was exposed like that women are underrepresented in management positions, and so there's some protests about like equality in the workplace against Pentax and stuff. And Pentax does a lot of like advertising about how woke they're supposed to be, and they're basically their PR versus essentially independent investigators and journalists from the University of Milwaukee campus who kind of exposed that like Pentax isn't as woke as they advertise type shit. And so there's protests around that. With the protests on the east side, getting to the east side, like, I mean, maybe, but she didn't take her driver, and even jumping shadow to shadow, I mean, it's it would be a real tight frame for her. Whether you want to share that information with the Coterie is up to
Sal.
on Sal. And whilst that's kind of occurring to Sal, I think those of you who have been in the city longer, which would be Ben Sahar and Cass, Sundown was one of Decker's sort of chief informants or snakes or rats or whatever you want to euphemism. It might kind of suck that somebody that had wasn't trusted by Decker by any means, but did provide a service, a citizen, is dead. And it looks like Ben Sahar, I think, that looks like diablerie to you.
So, either way,
and with Camarilla in general, anyone who's versed in Camarilla, somebody who's been embraced without the permission of the prince, and Sabat jumped to mind for anyone who's familiar. They usually don't have great fates.
Shit. You don't think, like... I know we were going with the whole Sabat thing for him, but you don't think they were actually, like, involved with this, do you?
Why not? They don't care about people. But you're going to have to show Decker that she exists and the coat. Unless you want to make it look like it was you.
You're right. Look, Sarah, we have someone we need you to talk with. It'll be fine, but everything that happened to you tonight, I promise it's not going to get any worse. We'll keep you safe.
Careful making that kind of promise.
Yeah, Pix knows she's lying through her fucking teeth.
Go ahead and roll. You're sorry, I don't want to cut you off. Say what Sarah's gonna. Yeah.
No, you go first.
So Sarah is a little bit mad at Pix already, and Pix just told her everything's gonna be all right. You're rolling some dice here, and you're lying through your teeth, which means manipulation.
Manipulation, subterfuge.
Wow. Okay. Actually, you kind of gain your composure a little bit, and you do your best sort of about face from that slip of the tongue earlier. You seem pretty convincing. Sarah can go ahead and roll a intelligence insight, wits insight, if she so chooses. It's not going to make her not mad or anything like that, but maybe you might just buy that Pix is trying to be sincere and trying to, kind of recover. Oh my. You're still skeptical of this person, but maybe, I don't know, maybe it is going to be all right. I mean, really, could it get much worse than, Go ahead. I'll let you take over now. Yeah, go ahead.
Quick out of character question, just to understand. Is there anything we obviously may not be able to protect Sarah, but is there anything similar where, as a citizen, we could have her, we're responsible for her, or Sal could step up and say,
you can, yeah, go ahead.
Just that idea of, if anything comes down, it comes down on him versus...
You'd basically... So there are the traditions of the Camarilla. You would swear the tradition of... What is it called? Not agency of... Not responsibility. It's ownership, basically, over... You would...
Progeny.
Yeah, you would step in for whoever the sire would be, and you would be as the sire, essentially. Because usually the sire have their... should be in the Camarilla book, right? It should say the traditions.
And it gets a little sticky because technically Sal is not Camarilla. Can he do that?
So here's the thing: you're going to become Camarilla in that moment. You have this treaty. It's going to get real complicated for Sal, real fast.
Excellent.
It could get much more for Treebeard over there.
Like, you're essentially, like, you're not going to, like, break the whole treaty for all Hakata everywhere, but you're already, like, pseudo-rogue if anyone finds out. You will be officially full rogue Hakata at that point. You'll be essentially like an anti-tribu equivalent.
Yeah, so Sal will...
Like, you're basically, like, you're swearing the tradition of accounting. I believe it's the tradition of accounting is what you're doing. Is you're taking on the tradition of accounting, but you're also sort of officially becoming an anti-tribu.
Yeah, since Elizabeth kind of told her to call Sal being, you know, as dedicated to that code of honor as he foolishly is often would do that. You know,
and then when they find
get
out he's
to
he's playing for being part of Treebeard cult.
Nothing wrong with trees, man. Gotta speak for the trees.
You have
Laura.
You have an understanding of Oblivion as well, so maybe you can, like, it's not 100% the same, but you have an understanding. And between Abigail and maybe this makes sense to Sal.
Yeah.
Abigail knows that side of Oblivion, and you know a different side of Oblivion. Maybe this makes sense, but it's going to come at a price. Like a price of sort of status, right? Who knows what kind of boons you're going to have to offer up to take on this tradition. Like, who knows? But I mean, Decker's been reasonable with y'all so far, right? I mean, these thoughts are all racing through your head, I'd imagine.
I'll be honest with you, Sal. It's going to look pretty suspect because, well, Elizabeth and I did make an accusation that Sundown could be involved with the current Sabbat incursion. So, going forward and reporting this. Oh?
We report what happened here. I take accountability for Sarah.
You sure about that?
With Elizabeth gone, yes. Abigail will help me.
I bet she will.
Sure she will. But yeah, I'll like go into my pocket and reach for Batty and whisper some instructions. Go to Decker. Tell him that we need to speak with him.
Like, Batty looks around the room like with an expression that says, "Oh shit," and then like
a little brown bat face.
Yeah, and then like just kind of like the ears like kind of wiggle at different trajectories basically, and just like the eyes widen, a little beady, cute eyes widen a little bit. It ruffles its nose, and then Batty like she flies out that ajar window basically.
I want to see Sal read Sarah bedtime stories. Now, this is how you act like a vampire over here. Let Papa read a story to you.
Well, it occurs to maybe Ben Sahar's making cracks in their own head, that nobody's explained to Sarah, per se, what she is and the true gravity of this situation.
Well,
You're sort of talking around and over her. The only one who's Pix has sort of directly addressed her, but there's some tension there on account of what Pix said previously, and you're all sort of talking around this person in the room. I don't know, Sarah. In fact, they're all talking around you, like you're not even there right now.
That actually kind of deflates her a little bit. It kind of tempers her temper. But when there is a lull, she will turn back to Pix. And not forceful, like not angry. She'll tell her, it's like, I couldn't fight. I tried. I couldn't. I had that taken away. All of my senses were dead. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't hear anything. I couldn't see anything. the first feeling I had was a pain in my neck. And then at that point, I don't know what happened. I don't know what went on. It's a blur from there. I get these flashes, like little bits, coming and going, and I don't know what any of it means.
Oh, okay. I might just go full bad guy here. I did get a nice little animalism ability.
I was waiting for the heel turn. I was waiting for the Pix heel turn. This whole
I don't
time.
like how she's standing up to me, and I'm going to use Quell the Beast. By locking eyes with the target, the vampire cows their inner beast into a temporary slumber. Mortals affected by this thus become apathetic, unable to take any actions and stay alive, whilst vampires' bestial urges temporarily abate, for better or for worse. I'll make that rouse roll. Oh, that was just regular roll. Let me rouse. Success.
You do not gain a hunger.
Pix is just going to lock eyes with this woman and say, "Calm down, you little monster." And it's again, it is that weird mixture of her and Thompson voice. Just calm down, you little monster. I imagine also like the replay of like Pix's own embrace, except she is in the role of Thompson here.
Mm-hmm.
Yikes.
All right. Quell the Beast still has an opposed check, does it not, associated with it?
Yes, it does. I did not write that down though, so let me go through my PDF.
All right. Quell the Beast is charisma, animalism versus stamina resolve.
Yep. Let me make that roll.
And you'd be rolling your opposition, Sarah.
Yeah. 2 successes.
What do you get, Sarah? 2 successes. It's a push. Tie goes to Coterie, and our tiebreaker in terms of Coterie on Coterie violence means we want the less bad thing to happen. I think Sarah maintains her wits about her. But conflict is still conflict. And the beast within both of y'all sort of have this moment. You lock eyes with each other, and you can feel your own, blood reserves sort of respectively just sort of like churn and boil, and almost an animalistic sort of exchange. And both of you are going to roll a rouse, because the beast feels like maybe one needs to assert itself over the other right now.
That's a success. Oh, we cannot hear you, Charlotte.
Yeah, Charlotte. Fine. She was like in it too. You can see her facial expression. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Go on.
There you are.
Whenever you say roll rouse, can you be clear, like roll rouse and not roll arouse? Because some people might get confused.
Sure. I should say like there's a specific vernacular for your beast coming out. It's the single blood die basically, or hunger dice. So I don't know, roll a beast check. I'll use the shorthand for now on. And I'll figure out the...
No, I was more making a joke than anything else.
Oh, I see. All right. Well, thank you. Oh! There's that... Yeah, over my head every time, and unless it's a joke I'm aware of, All right.
I got 0.
Yeah, so, sir, you're going to gain a hunger die.
Sounds about right.
And your beast sort of... you can... I'll leave it up to you to kind of... I think the beast is kind of particular to each individual character, really. But your beast is, You can almost hear it sort of whispering in your ear. Maybe it's the first time you've heard it. Whatever its voice might sound like, whatever its cadence it says. She doesn't know. She needs to learn. She needs to know that our darkness is stronger than her. She doesn't even know. She doesn't know how deep this pool goes. You could teach her. Teach her like you taught them all last night. And you get a flash of some lick wrapped in an arm of a tendril of shadow, and you can see its lifeless eyes. And Sarah's humanity recoils from the image. But the beast, you can feel it smiling inside as this thing is turning to ash, wrapped in shadow over her bedpost, or over her bed.
What was exactly that Pix said when she tried to quell the beast?
Calm down, you little monster.
You notice the shadows in the corners of the room start to grow a little bit on their own. She snarls and looks at you. You, of all people in this room, should know better not to tell somebody to calm down. When has that ever worked?
Pix's hackles are gonna raise at that.
Cass is gonna intervene.
I think like right in the middle of a, well, I'm not the new lick, and then like Cass going in.
Elizabeth's gone for one evening, and she lost her mind with power.
All right. That's enough.
Pix is just gonna give Cass a very uncharacteristic like glare. There's something predatory in those eyes. But she'll pull away. Well, it's not like she's gonna be fine after this. She's gonna need help. Christ's sake, the kid probably doesn't even know how to eat.
We can fix that.
What, throw her a juice box?
I don't know. You guys all seem to have shitty sires. I don't know what's going on. How I get stuck with all of you? Sal's sire sucks.
I am in the room.
Sucks. Elizabeth's sire sucks. Sarah's sire sucks. It's just a city of sucking sires.
Instead of talking about me and talking around me, why don't you talk to me? That might help a little bit more.
All right, Sarah. What do you want then?
I don't know.
Cassie,
I don't know what I want. I don't know what I need. I don't know what is going on here.
Cass is gonna look, like, crouch down and say, so, was it kind of like looking through a kaleidoscope with a strobe light on? The images?
It was like looking through fragments with rose-tinted glasses. Everything was red. From what I remember, everything was red. And I was not in control. I was a passenger. I could not get off of this fucking ride.
The ride's only just begun.
Well, first thing, Sarah needs to get cleaned up. We need to get the hell out of here because the door's smashed in. We're all standing in here in a trash apartment.
Decker's waiting on us. Wouldn't do well to keep him waiting, especially with what he.
Well, we need to feed Sarah first because we can't have you two having your moments in front of Decker.
I mean, technically, I'm full.
Sarah, is there anything you need here? Anything you wish to bring with you?
Bring with me where?
Well, first she's got to feed, and then we got to go deal with the politics of Decker. But we're not taking her anywhere when she's all hangry.
Are we bringing the husk too?
We'll bring his coat.
He wouldn't leave anywhere without it.
Sal, like he's been wanting for a while, grabs that coat, and Sundown's remains fall apart like a clay doll, and they in little big chunks at first, and then into dust the parts that hit the ground.
Kansas starts playing.
Dust in the wind.
Pix looks at this a little regretfully. Sundown had helped me in such a way, but immediately that swell of maybe it's Thompson, maybe it's me, maybe it is me, but it's that you should have acted quicker. You should have stuck your fangs in his neck the moment he walked into Sal's place. But
I'm going to put this in the Coterie's head collectively, and y'all are going to feel however you might feel. But moments ago, you might be feeling angry, you might be feeling relieved that you didn't have to do it. But the Coterie had pretty much resolved to kill Sundown a night prior. And it looks like somebody beat you to it.
Sal's actually a little pissed about that.
how's his Pix?
Yeah.
Pretty indifferent.
Yeah, Cass is more or less indifferent, but
Yeah.
Maybe someone feels a little bit of regret now that you actually see that Sundown's gone. The gravity of them never existing again hits some of you, perhaps. I don't know.
Sal, if you start crying, I'm going to punch you.
Pix has
Oh,
informed you.
tears.
Yeah, tears. Pix has informed you that Decker might be waiting for y'all.
Sal will just take a moment to talk to Sarah that
Whatever life you had, it will be different now. If there's anything you wish to take, you should bring it with you. But it will begin anew tomorrow.
Why should I bring it with me? Can't I just come back when we're done? At bedtime?
You wish to make this your home, perhaps you can. However, you recall, I'm sure Elizabeth told you about what we are.
Yeah, in a word. She never went into any details.
I mean, to put it lightly, you're dead. You know, the whole drink blood, void the sun, turn into dust, and I cock a finger over what's left of Sundown. There's a whole other world out there you're gonna find. And right now, you've got a pretty bad start in it, so I would suggest listening to what we all have to say. No, I was just putting a lick in its proper place.
Gooble gobble, one of us, one of us.
God damn.
She can't help but smile at that.
So if you feel that this place will continue to be your home for what you are now, then yes, keep it.
What choice do I have?
Well, you could live in a sewer. It's not bad, especially with
God, why do you say these things?
I'm being honest. What, do you expect me to tell her, oh yeah, vampirism is all sunshine and butterflies, and we all gather together 1 month and join hands in kumbaya? No, this place is cursed, and we're in the middle of a fucking war. What do you expect me to tell her? Right now, we're offering her the best chance that we can give her. It's better than what I got, or any of us here got.
Find a new home if you wish. And I think at least some of us will help to protect you. I know Elizabeth will when she returns.
Right, and I can keep an eye out for you, and you're not going to have to worry about him.
How can I find a new home if I can't work? I have to avoid the sun. My job is in the middle of the day. It is at noon. You don't get any more sunlight than that.
You can work on the inside. A lot of people do remote jobs, or there are always blood banks that need robbing.
Or you can come work at my club. Clubs operate at night, and they need people to run radio stuff.
I don't run radio stuff.
Well, it's better than not having a job at all.
Hey.
Employment is what you make of it. I haven't
Science.
had an actual job in decades.
Well, how do you make money? How do you survive? How do you get the things that you need?
You take what you want. I
Because
haven't
crime.
worked either. It's been months.
It's rich family.
Besides, you're going to save a lot on groceries. You can just get what you want from people. You don't know it yet, but there's going to be things that you can do that are going to make living, well, if you can call this living, a lot easier. And I think you'd better listen when Sal speaks.
No health insurance either.
Right.
Major expense.
What do you mean, do things? Like,
Wait, do we have to have this conversation right now?
Think this better be saved after we speak to the prince. Oh yeah, prince. He's kind of the big vampire in the city, so he kind of needs to know that you exist, because right now, you're unauthorized. Believe me, I tried it too. It doesn't work.
can't we just skip the prince and go right to the king or queen?
Afraid not. I wouldn't want to face the judges if I were you, because that means you've been rejected. But I
City
think
has its own laws, its own ruler. And there are rules across the board that we all follow. Or you risk being hunted, exterminated.
it's why the whole world doesn't know that we exist. It's why you didn't know we existed until Elizabeth told you. She was making a pretty risky move in doing that.
Fancy pants all want you to dance to their tune. And if you don't, well, they don't really like that very much.
Roll insight and intelligence. Everybody, after Pixis words pirouetted by Cassis.
Not a lot of dice, Andrew.
It's all right, Sal.
Is it insight and intelligence?
Uh-huh.
I would appreciate like stamina and brawl or
3 successes.
2 successes.
I got 2 as well.
Pix, I believe that's a oh no, not quite. They're not 2 of them there. Almost had a
Almost, yeah.
almost had a messy critical. At all the 2 successes, it occurs to y'all that what happened to Sarah might have been an attack on Elizabeth.
Oh, shit.
I mean, we know that.
She's been ascending the social hierarchy pretty quickly. Well, not quickly. She'd been in town a while before she met the Coterie. But she'd been ascending the social hierarchy pretty decently and started making some pretty solid moves recently, along with the Coterie, along with y'all, and you credit her as like the moral compass or whatever, but she's also had, she's navigated a lot of the politics as well, and there's never a move without a counter move in vampire politics.
Pix is gonna offer a hand to Sarah and just say, "Need something to eat before we go? Or are you ready to go talk? Because we're losing Moonlight."
No.
All right, fair enough.
No.
Because I'll tell you what you just did there, that's not acceptable here. It's gonna get you on a lot of lists.
What?
She gestures again at sundown. You ate him, right?
What do you mean, did I eat him? I don't know. I don't remember. I don't remember what happened.
Well, for the sake of the start of your kindred education, don't do that again, even if you don't remember it. They'll probably let it pass this first time, but it's not looked upon. You're literally devouring someone's soul when you do that.
You eat people.
I don't. I eat blood bags. Donated. Willingly. It just so happens that they end up in my room.
And start getting ready to leave. You got shit to do. I'm not here to babysit Elizabeth's pets.
Fair. Get the car ready.
And
you're gonna...
What did Cass say?
I was like, do we know that she drank Sundown?
I mean, the sun isn't out, and I don't see a stake.
I mean, there's an easy way for you to find out.
There's like an auspex ability where you could like totally see.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. It literally looks like your aura is surrounded by like black dark marks.
Try the soul.
Sal will tell Ben that he'll get Sarah to Decker, and perhaps we should drive separately. He'll have a conversation at least on the way there, as brief as.
Maybe a little more sunny than Pix. We don't need any more doom and gloom. Jesus Christ.
I can't believe Ben Sahar's the like happy-go-lucky one right now.
You guys all want to be like suicidal. Everything sucks. The world sucks. We all suck.
And I will paint a picture of sunshine and rainbows, Ben.
Just...
But as happy as this group is, I'm surprised y'all don't just jump out of the sun yourselves. Shit.
I got 4 successes on Scry the Soul.
All right.
There's no
all
fun
right.
in ending.
So
opposed by Composer and Subterfuge.
Yep. So you can roll a Composure Subterfuge, Sarah. You have a margin of success of 4. You can answer the storyteller, and by the storyteller, in this case I mean a combination of me and Sarah, will answer one of these following questions. The emotional state of the subject, the resonance in the subject's blood, whether the subject is a vampire, werewolf, ghoul, or any other supernatural being, whether the subject is under the influence of blood, sorcery, or magic, whether the subject has committed diablerie in the last year, and I mean that's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which one don't you want to know? The vampire one?
Yeah.
What's your emotional state?
Upset.
Resonance in the subject's blood would be, I don't, man, not even Carl uses the resonance rules.
Asshole. The resonance is asshole.
It's yeah, like whatever Sundown was. He was a total asshole. A miscreant, a snake, a double crosser. That's what's in the blood right now. Whether the subject is under the influence of blood, sorcery, or other magic. No, not currently. Whether the subject has committed diablerie in the last roll. As you're staring at the aura, you can see these black veins through Sarah's blood. And it sort of permeates and escapes her body and wraps and tethers around her. The telltale sign of someone who's committed diablerie.
Cass is just... He's not going to say anything, but he's thinking to himself, he's like, she was turned and then diablerized. Her sire, that's pretty nuts.
Not the sire. Sundown.
Oh.
Sundown got caught. You're beginning to put together between a wrong place, wrong time kind of thing for Sundown.
Okay.
The sire, unless the sire's that pile of ash, which you doubt, the sire's still out there. The sire, this wasn't a lone job. It met at least 2 assailants. One of them got ashed. Sundown came in to kind of like get details. Didn't count on being seen, but in a room filled with black tentacle frenzy magic.
All right.
That's why Sarah's not super hungry right now either. It turns out.
All right. So Cass is also thinking, like, if she was embraced by Sabat, like, is Decker gonna let her live? Because doesn't that make her Sabat by bloodline?
She doesn't know anything. She's no more Sabat than Pix is.
Yeah. I mean,
Let me-
technically, Thompson is, well, he's not really a part of anything, but...
Yes, this is what we talked about before. We don't overshare.
Right. I'm just trying to be honest with her. Look, this world isn't exactly sugar-coated, and so long as she agrees to being a citizen and the laws, as unusual as they might be in Decker's case, from what I'm learning...
Decker's laws aren't unusual. They're enhanced by extra tyranny.
They're enhanced.
They're
Someone
like
clip that.
Camarilla Plus. Sorry.
Sarah's not saying anything at this point, but you can, if you look at her, you could see her mouth the words Sabat. Okay, if this is all a lot.
It is.
It always
gets
is.
more and more complicated every day.
All right.
I will try
As the
to
Lorax.
explain a few things as we get over to where we're meeting the prince.
So, go ahead.
So we have to go somewhere now, right?
Yes.
Can I shower first?
That would be preferable.
Yeah, if it'll make you more comfortable. We can't exactly take you out in the middle of the night covered in,
Sundown.
Feels strange to say it.
So, as the coterie sort of decides on their riding arrangements, it sounded like Ben and Ben Sahar and Cass, or not Cass, Salvatore maybe wanted to have a little discussion en route to the prince. Was that what I gathered?
Sal was going to have a discussion with Sarah en route to the prince, so have Jimmy drive us separate from
The rest of the coterie.
other
Got
members
it.
of the coterie.
Got it. Okay. All right. So, are Cass and Pix okay with riding with Ben Sahar?
Yeah.
All right. Right on. Sarah, you go to take a shower, gather some of your belongings into whatever will fit into a couple duffel bags, right? Maybe, still not making sense of any of it. But the first thing you notice, all of us in Milwaukee by day and in the world on our side of the veil, a hot shower is one of the best things after a rough day. It's almost like a massage. The first thing Sarah notices is the water feels like nothing to her dead skin. Hot, cold, pressure even. She can maybe remember the phantoms of how the water should feel on her body, but it doesn't register. It's the first time beyond the panic, beyond the survival and the need to live, that preternatural, this instinctual need to survive that even took over her at one point last night. Beyond all of that in the fog of this dizzying conversation, that the full gravity of the world is on her skin. In that void of nothingness as the water hits her, she feels different. You want to say something?
Yeah, that's pretty emotionally heavy.
I was
I
going to
guess
say,
it's a good thing I didn't stab the bed with my sword then.
Yeah.
Before he decided to flip it, I was like, I'll wait.
Were you going to say something, though, real quick?
yeah, she kind of bears it all in like grim silence. And from outside, if you're still within like earshot of the bathroom, you'll hear the hairdryer turn on, and then it goes off, and then silence for 5 seconds until you hear this gasp, and then you hear something shattering against the tub surround.
She figured out she didn't have a reflection.
You get the word from Batty that Decker wants to meet you someplace different.
Oh.
He wishes to meet you in the third ward this evening. There's a small sort of spring and summer is on the horizon for Milwaukee. So a bunch of the weird festivals are starting to crop up, but there's also been a lot of tumult on the sort of kind side of things in the city of Milwaukee that has it sort of in a bit of sort of a frantic state right now. And so, rather than the usual Elysium places, Decker asks you to meet in the Third Ward in a pop-up art gallery of all places. Not his style, but it's discreet. And we'll pick up there with the Coterie after a brief 5-minute intermission. The Coterie sort of conversation in the car. Did you want to do that on camera, or you want to do that in a Nocturnus?
Ooh, we can do it Nocturnus.
Yes, let's do Nocturnus.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. All right. There is a conversation in the car en route, so we can do a Nocturnus one-on-one session. For those of you in chat gang, Nocturnus, they're VODs that show up kind of exclusively on YouTube. They're about 10 to 15 minutes, depending on which one. There are 3 of them so far, although the 4th one or the 3rd one's coming out Wednesday. I don't know. It's why Pix, quite frankly, is a little bit on edge this evening. Kind of goes into a little bit of that. It's Pixie speaking with Elizabeth prior to Elizabeth leaving regarding Thompson. So that's available on the YouTube. So hey, YouTube exists. All right.
I'll link it in chat, actually.
There you go.
Okay, so just to summarize very, very quickly, what does Sal say? Like, what topics are covered?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, it's just gaining an understanding of what Sarah's become. That she is clear, and what it means, the hunger, the beast, the questions as to there was allusions made to what she could do, or what she may be able to do, things like that, that discovery that comes with it. And then some of the basic rules, as Sal's probably not the best person to talk about rules since he often circumnavigates them, but at least has an understanding of, some things, so that when Sarah talks to Decker, she understands what Decker stands for, represents, so on and so forth. Kind of like a, exam prep for if the prince is going to address you directly.
Chief among it, I'd imagine you say the number one rule vampire society sort of lives by, which is the masquerade.
The masquerade, yep.
So, I'd imagine that's in there somewhere. Go ahead.
And then a possible introduction to somebody that Sal thinks that could help you learn about the shadow stuff.
Nice. So in which case, the Coterie arrives in the Third Ward. Third Ward, Milwaukee is like going through a time warp. It exists in multiple time periods simultaneously. It is 1800s pure brick buildings next to some of the most architecturally appealing structures around, like, you've got some like pure glass buildings or like weird glass and like iron wrought, sort of like transmodernist, it's but none of them get like higher than the primary Milwaukee skyline, so it sort of like nestles down sort of in this off downtown area of Milwaukee. It's sort of the main, it's the main trendy up and coming section of the city that isn't like purely business, related to court business and international and national business travel and stuff like that. So it's really the sort of heart of the of Milwaukee itself's sort of local revitalization, trying to kind of make it a little bit touristy but keep it home, is the best way to put it. They've got like a actual sculpture park where a famous artist has bent like I-beams and crap around to sort of grab that industrial heart of Milwaukee and turn it into an art display. And it's in this little triangle that you walk past. You can rent little bikes to go drive around Third Ward from the little bike renty podiums and so on and so forth. And every corner has some trendy up-and-coming diner or bar or new novelty food stand, ice cream perhaps, a 24-hour cookie stand. All kinds of stuff happens in the Third Ward. And a lot of these old, what would have been like weird textile mills or turn-of-the-century industrialism, industrial buildings and stuff like that have been sort of retrofitted to be storefronts, super trendy high-scale apartments, and some of them vacant spaces where they've literally knocked down the walls between two different buildings and linked them together to make these insane modern art displays or like music venues. And you are actually at one such venue. You'll notice that Sal arrives in a slight delay from the rest of the coterie, but y'all think better of going in to meet Decker without him. Especially with the person of the moment, Sarah. You're sort of on the fourth floor. You go into a door sort of between these two alternated size structures. You're led up by one of, the black leathers, right? The sort of standard biker enforcer sorts that Decker tends to have on hand at all times. As you're heading up, I will allow a wits and awareness roll. There, you can hear some music, but it's not like blaring Barth style music. It's just ambient music right now. Again, one of these sort of weird like art gallery / music venues.
What is it with my rolls tonight? Out of all those die, I got 1 success.
And out of all my dice, I got 3.
Nice. What'd you get, Cass?
I got 3 as well.
Okay. Ben and Sarah?
Wits and awareness.
Mm-hmm. There it is.
3.
Cool. 3's the number. What did Ben get? Sorry, I missed.
I didn't roll. I'm not really paying attention.
All right, that's fair. 3's the number. You overhear a conversation. You hear the first voice, Decker. And where is Akawa? I said I don't know. You were the last one to see him, Thomas. Where is he? Look, he's been chasing some leads, all right? I'm not his keeper. Yes, but you're one of my most veteran soldiers. And you know that in war, we soldiers have each other's backs. Look, I'll look into it, okay? I know you two have beef. That shit hasn't been a problem for a long time. I hope it's not back. No, water under the bridge or under the Bron Fonds or whatever, man. Like I said, I'll look into it. You're sort of heading up this narrow staircase in a sort of staggered thing, and you see the child soldier, Thomas, somewhere between 14 and 16 looking, but he's a vampire, maybe 100 years old for real, right? Looks down. Good luck, he says, and he gives a snide smile as he walks past the party, maybe even bumping into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ben. Excuse me, he says.
I'm not going to acknowledge him.
Right. He keeps walking. Y'all get up into this sort of honestly relatively like scant, featureless, like open walls knocked down. A lot of the structure, like I-beams and that stuff is all in place, but most of the walls have been removed between these essentially it's top 2.5 stories of two different buildings. So the one side is a single story, and on the other it's essentially 2 stories of stuff that's just been completely gutted except for the installments. And on the single story side of it, you have these little triangles of painting displays, and there's maybe half a dozen of them in terms of like actual paintings. Just a couple triangles, and you 2 of the walls are bare, and you walk and there's some painting here, and it's just super empty for a big deal multi-$1,000 to gain access, like up and coming art display. And then on the far opposite side, in the sort of 2-story section, there's like a small jazz quartet playing like ambient music live. Anyone who's been kindred for any period of time can recognize the sort of glazed over looks in their eyes of folks who are currently under some sort of like mesmerism. They're here, but they're not here.
What's going on?
You will notice Decker sort of standing, sort of straddling the middle of these 2 scenes, essentially, this art side and this cleared out industrial music side. He is flanked on either side by Anastasia and Arjun Shaw.
Oh, he's got the judges with him.
There's also an individual draped in black robes with a sort of like surgeon mask, like the old school, like pointed mask. Entirely featureless, with this huge sort of hood that like swooshes back and almost has like a bit of a dome to it, and you can see like wiring and stuff like that. Crow feathers coming off this shawl, and they have this huge obsidian. To call it a sword would be a bit of a misnomer. It is a slab of obsidian that has been chipped down for the sole purpose of using its heft to lop a head off. You see one of these triangles of art display has sort of like these half stalks, these stairs that come up to it, and a canvas underneath it. You also see Lucy off over by the band.
What message did Pix have Betty deliver exactly? I just want to make sure the words. Do we recall?
Just that we need to speak with him, and it's urgent. I didn't say anything about, this. So he probably thinks it has something to do with Sundown, given what Elizabeth and I told him.
Sal throws Sundown's leather coat onto the floor in front of him before stepping forward.
Decker's in his finest pair of Levi's. His cleanest pair of official Harley-Davidson leather boots with the little like silver toggles off the side and everything, and the squared toe. He's wearing a Bauhaus like plain white T-shirt with the blue shadow faded thing, and he's rocking a leather vest. You can see the scars along his cheeks, sort of permanently pulled back, and his hair is as rough and sort of crazy and wild, but it's been tempered a little bit to almost look him, just given that little bit of a rock star mystique. This is dressed up for Decker. You'll notice Decker is currently wearing, like classic belt, but then he's got like a literal old school, like colonial soldier, like extra belt on top with a pair of silver revolvers with ivory grips on them. He's ready to fight if need be. And Anastasia is there in one of her finest dresses. It's a sort of a green sequenced, loose fitting piece, but rather elegant, just a little bit oversized for her frame. The sort of thing she wishes she could fill out, but she got sort of trapped in her youth, right, as well. And Arjun Shah is in a black suit with gray pants and a red, sort of like a stylized collar from, just like some sort of like designer collar type thing. It's not quite froofy and old school vampire, obviously, but something that's coming into fashion from some scene, in like Dubai or something like that, right? That the third judge position hasn't been filled, and Decker has been standing in, and the three judges, as Decker as the temporary, is there, and Lucy's off maintaining the crowd. She sees y'all come in. The coat hits the floor in front of Decker, and she ushers to the few socialites of Milwaukee, people with money to spend and bad taste. I believe this ends this very exclusive segment of the evening. Come on, let's go take our late dinner, and I'll show you some of the finer developments here in the historic Third Ward. And she takes the probably about like 4 or 5 individuals who are up here, again, with way more money than sense, down through a different doorway on the far side near the band. The band remains with their sort of glossed over looks.
One night past, we came to you with news. Suspicions. And then we find that when Elizabeth leaves town, someone moves against her friend. And when we go to investigate, we find the husk of the rat himself nearby.
But not importantly, evidence. Arjun Shah steps in front of Decker and Anastasia. What evidence of the Sabbat did you bring Decker? You brought him your word, and he trusts your word, and that is certainly measured as evidence. But what physical proof of Sabbat activity did you bring us?
I
We
would
need more time.
Our one lead is dead. Dead.
This is your one lead. He gestures at the coat.
Exactly.
Convenient.
Very, but we do
We
have
also never said that he was the whole point of visiting was to show that he's dead. We didn't say that it was any proof of Sabbat. We wanted to let you know that he's dead. I don't know why the assumption is that this is the proof of the Sabbat.
We need more time.
And what communication about coming here tonight did we say we're coming with proof of Sabbat?
No. You misunderstand me. The previous conversation, as your compatriot here alluded to, was that Sabbat were in our city. Again.
Well, that'd be a discussion you have to have with her because we weren't there for that discussion.
And a following discussion, for which you were there, implicated Sundown in some manner. Care to recount it to your coterie? Just the cliffs, or just the Sparks notes. He has a British accent, by the way. I'm not doing the British accent. I'm not gonna insult like half. I can only do like the scullery British accent, like a soccer thug. I can't like a soccer hooligan. I can't do like, be like, oi, you over there? Like I can't do like a, oh, what proof you got here for this here? No, I'm not. Yeah, see, no, not gonna happen.
I understand how this looks, and given the accusations that we leveled against Sundown, I can see why this is convenient. But we do have a witness to this. An innocent. I believe the saying is, out the mouth, babes?
Decker, sort of, like, for the first time, like, he's been sort of talking with Anastasia or whatever, and he looks over, and Arjun Shaw has sort of intercepted, right, and is doing this, putting on this display. And he looks over, he's like, do not make the mistake of thinking I don't know more of what's going on here. I understand many, especially from Chicago, think I'm a fool. But just like I knew you were in my city, unannounced, much sooner than you thought, there are more rats in this city than Sundown, and most of them answer to me. And animals of nature you can't comprehend. So choose your words wisely before this council of the judges. And do not insult our intelligence, or force, or understanding of what goes on here.
Yes, Prince.
If we had acted against Sundown, I would own that. I wanted his blood on my hands, and I did not get it.
A bold thing to admit, says Anastasia, and she kind of like stands, and now the three judges sort of stand to all face you. Against my clan, no less.
Our clan.
Our clan. I respect your honesty.
Sal was one of the first who leveled his concerns regarding Sundown and I's relationship, and he had his fingers in a lot of pots. But we believe it may have been a case of simply having the wrong fingers in the wrong pot at the wrong time.
They all look at each other. Yeah, no, they all look at each other.
I think this might be a good time to present Sarah.
Nearby where we found Sundown, we found a new child. Do not know the sire, but we wish to present her to the prince of this city. And I claim the accounting for her deed and her future actions here.
Arjun Shaw, like, cocks his head. You're Hakata.
Yes, but I am a citizen of Milwaukee.
Anastasia, like, almost reacts with a, like, sort of, like, teenage cheerleader fervor, the demeanor that sort of locked in from her embrace, and she just, like, it does one of those with the I'm a citizen of Milwaukee, and you see Decker's eyes, the gears sort of turn behind them. Swearing the tradition of the accounting is no light matter, especially when you have an out. You have the treaty.
For yet another blink of an eye. But Milwaukee is my home now. As a citizen, I serve my prince.
So are you Camarilla now? A Camarilla has the right to claim accounting.
I'm certainly no anarch, and I have a distaste for the Sabbat.
The treaty's protections will no longer extend to you. You will answer as all Camarilla and citizens of Milwaukee.
Understood.
Do we have an accord before all witnesses? And like the judges, they just like acknowledged. You forsake the treaty before this council.
I do.
Then as a citizen of Milwaukee, as Camarilla, this is your child. What say you, child? Arjun Shaw looks at you.
I will look between all of the rest of my people there. Then look over the three that are facing us. And at a loss for what to do, get down on one knee and say, "My prince."
I'm going to start laughing.
Pix is just gonna shoot a quick glare at Ben as they start laughing. But also, like, just sort of give a look of disappointment as she just so easily submits. How could anyone submit that easily?
And here tonight, I was expecting to have to, Anastasia's words. And here tonight, I was expecting to have to, plea for the soul of an innocent before execution.
It's like I said, from the mouth of babes.
Hey, you may still get a chance. I don't think Sal's ever vetted her or checked her out. You may still get that chance yet. Hey, you might even get a 2-for-1. And I'm going to look at Sal. Now that you're accountable.
So be it.
You take glee in your coterie's precarious situation,
Absolutely.
says Arjun Shaw. Arjun looks to the rest of the coterie and kind of past Ben. Interesting company you keep. And you're hunting Sabbat. Curious.
That we are.
Decker just
Well,
kind of...
we were, and then we got saddled with this fun adventure.
Do you think they're related? Decker asks. And stand up. It's just Decker. Come on.
I'll let the child speak for herself, but there was evidence in her testimony from what little she can remember. I'm sure you all understand what is like those first few moments. But it did have Sabbat influence. So, unintentional.
You're certain. Again, you have a lack of proof. We hear a lot of words, Arjun interjects. Words are important. Do not get me wrong. Do not mistake my skepticism for negativity or cynicism.
I can trust my coterie on this.
But proof.
I have their words. I will take their words as truth.
But proof. You have operated on word long enough. You have been given as much credit as our kind prince can offer social credit. But now is the time for physicality, for evidence that you can sink your blade into. And you hear like the sharpening of the like obsidian blade in the background.
The urge to talk back is so strong, but I know I'm not dumb enough to do that.
Speaking of talking back, Ben. No.
Well, I was about to say, well, on that note, I better go find me some more evidence.
I'm afraid
Can't
that
waste more
Scott
time
didn't
kissing
write
your
us a
ass. I gotta
letter
go.
as to why they embraced Sarah. But I will let her speak for herself. Take what you will of her testimony, for she is all the proof that we have at the moment.
Any one of you could have sired this one.
Pixel raised an eyebrow at that.
Anastasia quirks an eyebrow at that.
Well, I imagine we exchange like, "Is this bitch serious?" Look just at each other.
Yeah, like, fuck this guy on. Look, Commonwealth law meeting constitutional law. Fucking Brits use law weird. Kidding. It's a joke about the differences between the American legal system and the British legal system.
Well, at least.
Well, at least what proof you physically got there? No. It's the only. Sorry. What do you know of your sire? Decker asks. And again, Decker, not Prince. We went through this, and he gestures at Pix. You kept calling him Prince a bunch, and he kept insisting Decker instead.
Yeah, but he was mean to me. I had to pull out the formalities to be mean back.
Honestly, I know just as much as anybody else here.
Describe what happened, what you remember. The abilities that they used.
I look at Ben, covering his face. It's like, you want me to recount all that again?
No, I think you don't need... You've relived it enough for one night. Anastasia interjects, exchanging a look with Pix. Everyone can roll a wits awareness to see if they catch the look. And I'm going to have Arjun Shaw roll to see if he catches the look.
I got 7 successes.
You catch the look. In fact, you might even be able to, like, you hear what their eyes say to each other, like, back and forth. I'll allow your Malkavian brain to to hear what you think you hear between their look. I'm sorry. Sarah, not quite. It was pretty. Ben, possible bestial failure. Ooh.
That'll be bestial failure too if 3 doesn't get it done.
Okay,
Or
so
2.
so the bestial failures. I haven't asked y'all a bunch. We still got another 20-ish minutes for your heart out. So I haven't asked y'all how you envision your beast, Ben and Sal, because I like the idea that, again, the beast is a personal thing to each vampire. Your beast right now. Well, I think you're already in your case, Ben, Sahar. You're feeling rather indignant. And they're plotting against you. However your beast might communicate that, like, these secrets or whatever. Like, I don't know, maybe there's some corruption here. Maybe something got to them all first. And your beast is kind of, like, putting that in your head.
Whereas, like, my body posture is going to change, like, and have less than zero interest now. Now it's like, I mean, before it was actually like expressing it, but now I'm like getting ready and I start like walking towards the door.
Okay. Sal? Again, not certain how you've imagined your beast, but just kind of what I'm picking up on you. Not only do you not notice the look,
I think Sal's likely fixated on Arjun's accusations of words versus evidence, because like and that's why he gets lost, is the questioning of your word, because that's so important. Like the concept of omerta and the code of silence, and like,
yeah,
you know, there's this like just almost alien look in Sal's eyes as someone questions like his word, since his word is his bond generally. Like,
your word is as good as deed. Your beast whispers to you. Your word is evidence. It's as good as done. You give your word, you do it. It's how long have we been together? 100 years, 2? Who knows? Whatever. Doesn't matter. Not important. Each life you take adds another year to your life, and you've taken so many lives because you said you would, and then you did it. Because every time you give your word, you do it. And he doesn't value your word. What a prick. You should kill him. You should tell him you're going to kill him, and then you should do it. Prove to him the weight of your words. Tell him.
under his breath to Arjun, not to the prince, Sal will say, "Question my word again." And that kind of gravelly, like, maybe not even heard, but...
Ben, you get to the door and you're going to suffer your compulsion.
Well, I was going to leave because I'm like, I'm already in a shitty mood. I don't need to get shit here.
There's role-playing, which is what Salvatore opted for, and there's role-playing, ROLL, so you're going to suffer your compulsion. And you're going to maybe refresh my memory on what that might be as a Tremere.
So there's kind of like having the devil on your shoulder, but it's like this big instead of this big.
Mm-hmm.
And so you generally want to cause problems and corrupt things and
This council. Oh, you could make it so much better. By better, I mean worse. Just think of the seeds you could sow right now. You're about to leave. Look at how dramatic this is. You could plant that seed. You should plant that seed. Let them know. Let them know. Let them know.
I'm going to turn to Sal and be like, don't worry, Arjun can do it better than us. He can find us all the evidence we need.
Perhaps you're mistaken in the role of judge. He doesn't respect you. He doesn't... No. He's the one, right? Yeah, you should. You should convince him. You should tell him what we know. Not everything, but just a taste. Give him a taste. Oh, I bet his vitae tastes great.
Like in Trump monologue, I'd be like, fucking hate Banu Hakim. And this idea sounds way too good. I think we should leave.
Dante distantly, one of his chords snaps on his guitar. He's like, the fuck?
I don't dislike him. I dislike his family.
Back to we'll come back to your compulsion. Maybe in another scene. I think there's going to be some repercussions of you trying to suppress it right now. You've been officially a coterie long enough. You can feel something's off with Ben. But it's a don't mess with it right now kind of off, okay? You don't want to make it worse, obviously, in the presence of the prince and the judge council. Decker steps up a moment. We're not going to ask you to recount last night. I'm sure it was horrible for you. But Arjun's not wrong. Words are one thing, and they will sway many kindred. Boons, our word, it's kind of our currency, right? More than anything else. But we're going to need... We're fighting a war. We need to know. We need to know where all the fronts are. Where to allocate resources. Right now, you've been granted as much leeway, amnesty, as I've been capable of because you've proven capable, and quite frankly, as free agents, as extra resources, you were able, it was easier to commit you elsewhere. But it feels like the lines are getting tighter. And with what's going on elsewhere, again, do not make the mistake because I speak plainly or am candid with you. I do not know what is going on in my city. I knew about her. The trial I intended, or the trial that was intended this night, was not for sundown. Yeah, and then the Anastasia jumps in, and then the Hikata with the free pass, the get out of jail free Monopoly card, decided to do the unexpected. Oops.
That was for me?
You were not embraced with permission. That much is true. And the Camarilla are pretty explicit in what's to be done in those situations. Especially with whispers of Sabbat. It's not unlike them to make a few conflicts and leave them around for others to deal with.
Blood doesn't make her Sabbat.
Not her blood.
No, but a lack of sire makes her a problem. But now she's your problem. Decker looks pointedly at Saul, but then looks at the rest of the coterie, Ben Sahar in the doorway included. All of you. All of you are responsible for her.
What does that mean? In simple terms, that I can understand.
If you fuck up, we die.
You
A little
die first.
harsh, don't you think?
You're an unknown. And quite frankly, it's on our heads since we're bringing the potential threat into the city.
The alternative. Decker glances over at the executioner. That was the alternative. We've accepted your sacrifice and that got us this far, but considering the weight of the situation... Anastasia steps forward. She's like, this is the most prudent. There are things going on here that, well, you'll know. Proof, says Decker. Arjun, physical proof. You have 3 nights. If Sabat are here, prove it. If they're not, prove that as well. We cannot have this shadow looming over us with this next assault planned. Anastasia stares at Arjun when he says assault planned. Like, you see her, like, brow completely furrow. Decker gives a quizzical look. Suppose that's it then. The former DJ is your problem. And you're no longer protected by the treaty, says Arjun pointedly. And you and I have so much to catch up on, says Anastasia, looking directly at Pix.
I have a feeling I do.
You can be on your merry, says Decker.
Just so we're clear, my fate will be determined in 3 days, if we're successful or not.
That's the... Decker looks between the 2 judges. It doesn't mean you'll die in 3 days, says Anastasia, quick, like putting a hand up to the other 2 judges. It doesn't mean that. And they both, like, look at each other and they look at her. She's still innocent. And they both look back at her. Until otherwise proven. And then, like, they kind of share some glances. In 3 days, yes, your fate will be decided.
I don't like that. But I can play ball.
Welcome to being a vampire.
No thanks.
Says Arjun. You're already ahead of the curve.
So are we leaving now?
I think we're being dismissed, Private. Let's go.
When we get to a spot where I'm pretty certain nobody's listening, those guys are assholes.
You have no idea.
The night's full of assholes. And you're going to have to learn how to be one if you want to make it through here alive. Or, you know, here.
And I thought the actual court system was fucked.
No more strays. Jesus Christ.
So it's a good thing we didn't let them know that she also ate Sundown, I guess.
Oh, they would have killed her on the spot.
Darn.
But isn't that a Shabbat thing?
It is.
And that would be evidence?
Not necessarily. You can eat somebody in a frenzy, too. That doesn't prove anything to old Arjun.
True, and they don't know if she's Banu or not, but considering that the
tactile
Camarilla have whole
guy.
laws against it.
Him not trusting my word bothers me to no end.
It's the Camarilla. Nobody trusts anyone. Hell, Sundown was his closest confidant before, well, you know, he got his throat ripped out. No offense, Sarah, but... Look, information goes for information, and right now the money looks fake to them. So we gotta get them what they can, and luckily for all of us, I've got a bit of experience with this, and I've got favors I can pull. If they were here, we'll find them.
What about the mall?
Or the asylum.
Or the symbols on the bridge.
Symbols on the bridge were Cult of Isis, not Sabbat.
Right.
Doesn't mean Cult of Isis will... Cult of Isis, you know, very specifically works with anybody.
Yeah, they're like the daughters in that way, out of character, but...
I know, but they weren't specifically Sabbat like we found in the mall.
Still, worth looking into. At this point, considering what's being thrown against us, we need anything we can find. Any lead, we gotta chase it. But for right now, Sarah, you need somewhere to stay for the night?
Yeah, unless I can go home.
I don't think that's a good idea, considering.
You go to the place where you're murdered? Clever.
You can stay with me, Sarah.
I was about to suggest not to offer up your own place, but I don't think... well, I wouldn't appreciate having a second roommate, and I don't think you'd like the decor.
I don't know how Pix receives the delivery that she's been purchased some upgrades not too far downtown as a parting gift from Elizabeth. But that might be something to be made aware of perhaps on the player schemes chat. But you might have two havens now. So
For me?
Yeah, for you. Moving on up. To the east side, literally. Milwaukee.
How much of an asshole would I be if I said no thanks and continued living in my disgusting little sewer?
Yeah. Meanwhile, we get like weird cutaways of of nails like decorating the new haven, and he's like hanging a painting, and it's like perfectly straight, and he like frowns at it, and he just like makes it crooked on purpose. No.
Cass is gonna mention to Ben, oh, I forgot to tell you, the stork arrived.
Your groceries.
Everything on the list. I think.
It is there that you hear some distant howling, and we'll call it for the evening.
I can't wait to find a zombie to put that coat on.
Pix will want it. She's probably going to request it. Because I've got ideas after looking at some later obfuscate disciplines.
You'll have to pay Sal for that heavily, because
I will give you a boon for that coat.
Having a wardrobe for his pets is...
We can go to Hot Topic. We'll go to Forever 21. We can outfit them there.
Milwaukee by Night has become a dress-up game.
Yep. Collect my zombies, dress my zombies.
We can make a game out of that.
We could.
We could. There's probably a pit crew we could make of that. Just dress up Sal zombies, like have terrible branches, dark shadows coming out of them.
Well, way back in the day, like even before my childhood, because I'm old, they had like paper. There were like
paper doll,
paper doll wardrobes. That there's got to be a way to put that into a digital medium, right?
We can do it.
Dress up
Dressed
game.
up Sal zombies.